Ooh, Ubisoft's in trouble. So if you had missed the prior news, Ubisoft had actually created a new subsidiary company which is now responsible for the Assassin's Creed series, Far Cry series, and Rainbow Six series, which are basically their biggest moneymakers, and this was in partnership with Tencent, who has a 25% stake on it. So back when we had covered the story, I had kind of implied the fact that it seemed a little odd that Ubisoft was doing this, because I'm pretty sure that the rest of the investors who are still part of the main Ubisoft company don't really get a cut out of this. And surprise, surprise, turns out that a bunch of other investors now are trying to sue Ubisoft, or at least force them to renegotiate this deal that they have with Tencent, because as far as they're concerned, they're going to be losing out in the long run. But in the open letter that was received by Insider Gaming, the article pretty much states that a minority shareholder and a growing coalition of shareholders have issued an open letter to Ubisoft to initiate legal proceedings around the recently announced Ubisoft and Tencent subsidiary deal. And in the open letter, they are demanding that Ubisoft hold an extraordinary general meeting, also known as an EGM, to give shareholders the right to vote on the recent subsidiary deal. And EGMs are only initiated outside of the usual annual investor meeting when they feel like there's something incredibly wrong that needs to be addressed immediately. So in the letter that was sent by AG Investments, they pretty much brought up two potential resolutions, which one of them was renegotiate the Tencent deal and have it restructured into a direct asset sale for no less than 4 billion euros, which is roughly the valuation already accepted by both Tencent and Ubisoft's board. And AG Investment also says that at the moment, shareholders have no clarity on how the deal that was announced last week will eventually benefit shareholders of Ubisoft. Now, it's interesting that the first resolution is for a direct sale, because again, in the last video that we did when we were talking about the announcement, I had kind of hinted at the fact that this may be Ubisoft's way of potentially selling off these assets to Tencent without potentially getting in trouble with the investors. However, that didn't pan out. The investors are still mad. And the second resolution for the EGM would be to vote on a distribution of extraordinary dividend. It said that following the sale, if shareholders vote for it, Ubisoft shall return 23 euros per share in cash to shareholders, totaling 3 billion euros while preserving. And finally, AJ Investment says that the reason for such extreme measures is because shareholders are not sure whether they will get a significant benefit from this transaction. Ubisoft's shares price already fell by more than 20%, which is an unusually high volume. This signals a clear verdict from investors that the proposed deal is deeply flawed, structured to bypass mandatory public offer rules and designed to entrench control by the Guillemot family, who now hold less than 10% of the company's economic interest. That's actually wild. I had mentioned last time that the Guillemot family had been losing significant control over Ubisoft's parent company, but I didn't think it was less than 10%. That's wild. That's actually insane. I can definitely see why they decided to try and make this subsidiary company so they could still have some level of control over their assets, but damn, I don't know what they were